Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this Board of Liquor and Tobacco Control meeting to order. It is 5:30, Monday, March 17th, 2025. Do I have any changes or additions?
No.
So I have minutes from February 18th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
I'll move the minutes of February 18th, 2025.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Chris and a second by George. The chair is going to abstain. I was not present for this meeting at all.
I will abstain also, I was not there.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes for February 18th, 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
And there would be 2 abstentions.
Sorry about that.
Okay. So moving on to liquor license applications, we have 4. I would assume Jason, our chief of police, is okay with these?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we have a renewal from Price Chopper Operating Company, from VT Pizza Boys, DJ Realty LLC, and KHP Drugs Incorporated. Do I have a motion?
I would make the motion to approve the second-class liquor license for Price Chopper Operating Company of Vermont, the first and third-class liquor license for Vermont Pizza Boys, doing business as Hoagie's Pizza and Pasta, second-class license for DG Retail LLC, doing business as Dollar General, and second-class for KHP Drugs, Inc., doing business as Kinney Drugs, number 23.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Chris and a second by George. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous, Sarah. Tobacco license applications. We have 1 from DJ Retail LLC. Do I have a motion?
I would move to approve the tobacco license for DG Retail LLC, doing business as Dollar General.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So a motion by Chris and a second by George. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous, Sarah. And we have no catering applications. Okay. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion to adjourn by Chris and a second by George. It is 5:33. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning the Board of Liquor and Tobacco Control meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
And that would be unanimous. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, I'm going to give Judy a chance to get organized there.
Yeah, I'm having some issues with the live stream.
Give myself a chance to get organized.
Okay, I think I fixed it.
Okay,
Yep.
so we're good to go? Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 5:34, Monday, March 17th, 2025. I would like to call the Town of Morristown Selectboard meeting to order. Executive session comes before agenda changes and additions. Okay. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I make a finding to go into executive session to discuss confidential attorney-client communications to allow the town attorney to provide professional legal advice to the select board and discuss potential civil litigation based on an open meeting law complaint that was filed on March 11, 2025. and must be addressed within 10 calendar days of receipt. Premature disclosure of said advice or the potential civil litigation would put the town at a substantial disadvantage, to include Attorney Ed Adrian, Town Manager Brent Raymond, and Executive Assistant Judy Alberry.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Richard and a second by George. Do I have any discussion?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be 4-0-1.
I move to go into executive session because I find that premature general public knowledge of potential civil litigation to which the public body is or may be party will clearly place the town at a substantial disadvantage by disclosing its negotiation strategy.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Richard and a second by George. Do I have any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Judy, I'll abstain.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 4-0-1.
I move that we enter into executive session to discuss the possible litigation and the employment and evaluation of a town employee to include Town Manager Brent Raymond, Executive Assistant Judy Alberry, Finance Director Tina Sweet, Town Clerk Treasurer Sarah Haskins, and Assistant Town Clerk Treasurer Mitzi Fleming.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Richard and a second by George. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous, 5-0. Okay. Dan and Scott, we're going to ask you to
Yeah,
leave
I'm curious, what does the agenda say when you be coming back out?
in approximately an hour. Okay, thank you, Dan.
Everybody that's on Zoom, I'm now gonna move you into the waiting room and I'll put you back when we come out.
Do you want to go there?
Yes, please, Dan.
There's more that needs to be done outside.
Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you know, I did open the meeting at 5:30 and we went into executive session, and I appreciate you waiting. I know we're about a half an hour late coming out of executive session, but we had plenty to do. I'm going to move on to number 3, agenda changes and additions, and we are going to amend the agenda. We're going to amend the agenda to discuss a resolution regarding an open meeting law complaint, and that will be number 1 under new business. So, any other changes or additions?
No.
Approve the minutes. We have minutes from February 18th, 2025.
I would move the minutes of February 18th, 2025.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Chris and a second by Richard. I am going to abstain. I was only there for one item on that agenda.
I also-
Albeit I was there for an hour, but I was only there for one item.
I'm also abstaining as I was not present.
Any further discussion on February 18th? All those in favor of accepting the minutes for February 18th, 2025, please say aye.
Aye.
Did you abstain or say aye?
Oh, I'm sorry. Abstain, I guess so automatic.
Okay, so that will be 3-0-2.
Sorry, Don.
That's okay. I just thought I heard that.
I had moved on to 20.
So number 2, approve the minutes of 2/20/25.
My recollection is you were not present for that meeting, is that correct?
That is correct,
All right, so
and we do need to change that.
I would move the minutes of February 20th, 2025, removing Don's name as a select board member present for that meeting, but other than that, I see no issues with it.
So I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Chris and a second by Richard. Thank you, Chris, I was going to say that, because I know I wasn't there for that. Any discussion regarding the minutes of February 20? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the minutes for February 20th, 2025, please say aye.
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 That would be 401. We have minutes from March 10th, 2025.
So I'll move the minutes of March 10th, 2025 with just one change. Second page, number 6, rules of procedure and amendments. I think that the same sentence is in there twice. Maybe it doesn't. So Don McDowell would like to chair the designee to post the agenda on Front Porch Forum. Then below that, 2 sentences that Don McDowell would like to chair or designee to post the agenda on Front Porch Forum as an additional post. I don't know if the additional post is the key of that, but I thought that it was sort of synonymous. Did you read it?
I read the same thing, and yep. I mean, I think the first sentence says what needs to be said.
Okay, so I would make that motion on March 10th, 2025, deleting the last sentence of number 6, rules of procedure amendments.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. So I have a motion by Chris with that one change, and I have a second by Richard. Any other discussion on March 10th? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That'd be unanimous, 5-0. Okay, so moving on to new business. Discuss the resolution regarding the open meeting law complaint. I am going to read the beginning of the resolution. So the resolution before us is resolution regarding open meeting law complaint of Laura Streets. Whereas the Select Board of the Town of Morristown is in receipt of an open meeting law complaint dated March 11, 2025, and filed by Select Board member Laura Streets. And the resolution is, now therefore be it resolved that the Select Board hereby, through this resolution and discussion thereof, determines that no violation of the open meeting law has occurred and therefore no cure is necessary. And be it further resolved that Select Board member Streets is directed to 1 VSA Section 314C should she decide to pursue relief from the Civil Division of the Lamoille County Superior Court regarding her open meeting law complaint. Dated 17th day of March 2025, Town of Morristown. Don McDowell, Select Board Chair. Do I have a motion?
I move to accept the resolution regarding the open meeting law complaint and to authorize Don McDowell to sign the resolution as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I will recuse myself, having filed the complaint.
Any other recusals?
I'm going to recuse.
Okay, so any discussion regarding this resolution? Okay, all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be 302. Two,
Figure that out. Yeah.
yeah, okay. Or maybe it's just 3-0. Yeah, thank you.
Because they recused themselves.
Okay.
So.
Thank you for that. Okay, moving on. Laura and Chris.
and I.
Okay. So moving on to what's now number 2, discuss Morrisville Water and Light, VMBB bonding, and we have the village manager here with us, Scott Johnston.
Good evening, Scott Johnston with Morrisville Water and Light. I only need a couple minutes. There's a possibility that on the heels of your successful, hopefully for all of you, town meeting, we're headed to village meeting. And there's one item on our village meeting that I think could create confusion with various voters based on a topic you dealt with last year. So our Jersey Heights pump station was built in the early 70s, so it's well past its useful life, needs to be replaced. And we have a bond issue on our ballot this year. So we're a little worried that some residents may think this is the stormwater issue, which it just is not. And so we thought it'd be worth, 2 or 3 minutes just to give you a little bit of information. We're not asking for how anyone should vote. We're not asking you to electioneer for us, just to provide you with information so you know what we're doing. So again, this pump station over there on Old 100, early 70s, it's going to cost about $1.8 million to replace it. We'll be reusing some of the equipment there that can be rehabbed and building a small control building on the site. We've got about $900,000 of that, so half the money is been offered to us as a clean water grant by the state of Vermont. So we're the half of the cost. One of the requirements of taking that grant is we are required to pass a bond issue, even though we have sufficient sewer allocation fees from development over the years to pay the rest. But to take receipt of the $900,000, we're required to pass a bond issue. So, and as you know, because you've all seen these things, we're not allowed to explain that in the Australian ballot that happens before annual meeting on the floor. So, people might get confused by that, but really this is an improvement, a $1.8 million improvement that will cost sewer ratepayers and therefore village residents $0. And so the key is for us, we want to make sure people know that, one, and two, that if I think most likely you might get approached saying, I thought you guys took care of the stormwater thing, what's the problem?
Right.
It's not the stormwater thing, it's the sewer thing, and it's just a really old decrepit piece of equipment whose time has come. So we're going to start really trying to get the word out. Wilkett just had one of these things last year. He had to vote twice, even though it didn't cost him anything too. It's very similar to that. And we're just trying to make sure people in the community are aware, and that particularly in your role, that if you get approached by folks, that you're aware that this is not that issue, and if you're comfortable sharing that it won't cost sewer ratepayers anything, that would be great too. I'm happy to answer any questions, but in light of the fact that I know you're running late, I wanted to keep it as absolutely brief as this engineer knows how to talk, which is not short. I know.
Well, thank you for all that, Scott. So is it safe to say that the pump station and the stormwater issue are mutually exclusive issues?
Absolutely mutually.
Thank you very much. That's what I was hoping, and we'd be more than happy to help you get the word out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good rest of your meeting.
Thanks a lot.
See you.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to number 2, certificates of recognition for the highway crew. I have a letter here and, or a memo that I will read. And I'll just read this. So these are on-the-spot award nomination details, the Highway Department. The Highway Department has been battling the snowiest winter in recent memory. The snow this year seems to be never-ending and very frequent. Whether we get 1 inch or 12 inches, it requires them to be out there working. Since November 22nd, despite sickness and equipment breakdowns, they've kept our roads safe for the public by plowing or treating them 77 out of 114 days, often starting between 3 and 4 a.m. Foreman Matt Friedrich and Derek Small are up even earlier, making crucial decisions that have resulted in significantly less salt usage compared to last year, in spite of the increased snowfall. The team's dedication is evident in their sacrifice of 12 out of 15 weekends, as well as Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and New Year's Day. Even their 3 weekends off were spent on call, highlighting their constant responsibility. The work will continue until the snow stops, and then we'll start battling the thaw, I think we already are. Summer maintenance and countless infrastructure improvements. Please join me in thanking the below members of the Morristown Highway Department team: Matt Friedrich, Derek Small, Shane Blaisdell, Kevin Barrows, Scott Nelson, Scott Lange, Josh Miller, Earl Pino, Matt Dewey, Mark Dunbar, Jordan LaHoulier, and Jonathan Slayman. Additionally, the highway foreman would like to recognize their superintendent, Jordan St. Ange, for his outstanding leadership. Despite the challenging and busy winter season, Jordan has inspired, motivated, the employees within his department to a level the foreman have only dreamed of. He's been available around the clock He's been available around the clock, is quick to provide positive feedback and encouragement to his crew, and has decreased turnover in the department since coming on board last October. So please join me in thanking Highway Superintendent Jordan St. Ange and the rest of the staff. Thank you very much. So I would ask for a motion from the board to accept these on-the-spot award.
So moved.
So I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Chris and a second by George. Do I have any discussion?
Those are outstanding numbers. It's unbelievable when you see them piled up like that.
Yeah.
Of the effort they've made. It's just, I'm thrilled that they put those numbers together because that really tells you the dedication those people have.
Yeah. Thank you. I think our HR director might have a little something to do with this, so thank you, Els. As well as Brent and Judy. It's all you, Els. Any further discussion? So all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Okay. Update on the summer camp program. So we have Gail is here, and so is Els. Are you both doing this? And Sarah. I had you pegged for number 4 on the agenda.
I'm not here.
So, go ahead whenever you're ready. I think, is there a slide presentation?
Oh, I don't have it. Oh, I just forgot to put it on. I'm sorry. I'm so busy. I didn't even think of that. Okay.
I'll touch on over.
I can go get it if you would like me to.
Why don't we?
Sure, give me 2 minutes. And that way everybody can see.
Brent, is there a time on Wednesday for those awards?
I don't think the time. I know Wednesday's the day they'll be presented, but if you'd like.
I think it's around lunch, I think it's,
Okay.
but we'll confirm.
Yeah.
I owed that to you, I apologize.
Yeah, that's okay. Let me know.
Yeah, okay.
Any chance we can do 4 and come back to 3?
Any chance we can do 4 and come back to
I
3?
think 4 is a quickie, but since it's
Everyone
late.
okay with that? Doing number 4?
That doesn't bother me.
Okay. Let's, so 4 is to authorize the town attorney to send
Thank you.
a demand letter for delinquent taxes. I believe we've done this before.
More water to string.
I come to the board annually for this.
Something will still be reported.
Your microphone's over.
I come to the board annually for this. The law changed a year ago for delinquent taxes. Typically, I would have come to you in September for this. Now the law has changed, we have to wait a year. So this is the first time that I'm able to bring the list to you. Usually the list is a lot longer than this. There are only 8 delinquent parcels, properties in Morristown. It's pretty amazing. The total is just over $12,000. Also pretty amazing that people, when I speak with other towns, they cannot believe how low our delinquency is and how we've worked with our taxpayers to keep delinquencies down. So these are the 8 properties that have not paid up despite my monthly letters. So I'm requesting permission to hire the town attorney, Jim Barlow, to send a demand letter. They cost $75 a piece. Just sometimes the nudge from the town attorney will get them to pay. If they don't pay after the demand letter from the town attorney, then the next step will be I will come in May to talk about tax sale proceeding. What we have done in the past for the demand letters is send them to anybody that's $75 or more. It just doesn't make sense to pay more than is owed. Every one of these accounts is for $75 or more. So my recommendation would be to send them all.
Okay, Sarah, you're looking for a motion.
A motion.
So I would entertain a motion for Sarah.
I would move to authorize the town attorney, James Barlow, to send demand letters for delinquent taxes. As outlined by town treasurer Sarah Haskins.
So I have a motion by Chris and a second by Richard. I just want to say thank you to, I'm sure thanks goes to you, Sarah, and Mitzi and Elizabeth for all the work you're doing to keep this list as small as it is. So I think a lot of credit goes to you folks. So thank you very much.
We were down to under $5,000, three properties until the law changed. I should probably go testify to the State House because they keep wanting to change what we're doing.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I would just say the 8297, unless this person's chronic, I wouldn't spend $75 to collect 12, yeah. So that's my personal opinion. That's the only one I'd probably waive.
Any thoughts from the board on that? I think the motion is to send a letter to everybody at this point.
Yeah, in theory, I would agree with Laura that it's not worth it. I mean, $7, whatever. But on the other hand, we've got to have a line in the sand someplace. And if 82 works, then next year we get somebody's got 99, and where's the line? In theory, absolutely. Reality says Laura's right. I'm not questioning her reasoning. I'm just thinking, where do we stop? Kind of a discussion we had in an abatement one night about there's got to be a line someplace. So in theory, it's fine. In application, I think we leave it alone and do them all.
Do we want to amend the motion or just go forward with it?
I'm fine with it as read. I think we head down a slippery slope if we do that, just like George said.
Okay.
Just refer to like the abatement.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, any further discussion?
Can you just repeat to me who made the motion?
I made the motion.
Chris made it and Richard second.
Second?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Fine.
That would be unanimous as well. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to move back to number 3. Update on the summer camp program. So Gail and Els and Sarah, you are on.
Hello, good evening. I'm Elsa with the Town will be kicking off our presentation this evening. Prepared a slide back with some summer camp updates. I'm quite proud of how far we've come and excited to share some exciting updates. So first and foremost, summer camp registration is now open. Today is the first day of registration of it being open for non-resident children. So please check that out. It's on our website and it's electronic. Live now. The location will be at the school. We have reserved 3 classrooms in the cafeteria at People's Academy. The duration of the summer camp is going to be 6 weeks this year. I go into the details a little bit further on that in the next slide, but it's to align with the end of the school year and to allow for a mandatory 1-week counselor training prior to kickoff of camp. So the capacity of our summer camp is going to be 75 campers as planned, and the cost is $290 a week for Morristown residents, $320 for non-residents. And our planned ratios are looking like they're going to work out perfectly. Logistical details, as I mentioned, the summer camp is going to be 6 weeks instead of the anticipated 7 weeks due to the last day of school being pushed out a bit due to the snow days.
Speak up, ladies.
Okay.
Just speak up.
Thank you, Judy. So the dates for the summer camp will be 6:30 through 8/8, and that will comprise the 6 weeks. Like I said, we're gonna be running out of PA this year. We're working on some great systems for efficiency with drop-off and pickup, and check-in process with kiddos, with parents. And this year, for the first time, we are going to be offering an ice cream social to all registered families the week before summer camp kicks off. So the kiddos and parents can see where they're going, get to know each other, ask questions, meet counselors, co-directors from the town. So we're really looking forward to that. We have also worked out some cost savings. We have inquired with Vermont Transportation regarding busing options. So we are going to do one bus this year for the program, which is an estimated savings of around $5,000. And we are going to have weekly swimming excursions at Eden Beach this summer instead of Elmore, which is going to give us about a $1,900 cost savings. So we're continuously exploring those cost saving options. We're also trying to do some collaborations within the community. We have been working with Amy Thompson, the program director from Unbound Summer Camp. And we are recommending that Morristown residents enroll in children that are going into 5th grade next year into Unbound because they've decreased their the age limit for their kiddos. And Unbound is the summer camp program held at the school, the same dates as our program, so it's 6:30 through 8/8, and it is at no cost for 5th graders, 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders. So that's wonderful, and the hours will also align with our program, 7:30 to 4:30 daily. We're also exploring the option of collaborating with a local soccer camp to kind of cover those dates at the end of June before our camp kicks off, just giving families another camp option. So once logistics are confirmed on that, we'll put out some more updates. And I'll turn it over to Danielle for an activity update.
All right, well, we have some fun and educational activities already planned. VINS, or Vermont Institute of Natural Science, they'll be visiting the school doing an Owls in Their Call program. Dino Man will be coming to teach the kids more about dinosaurs. And then we have an interactive program by Rock and Rock. So we have some school visits that are planned. In addition, we have field trips to Echo Museum, Lamoille County Field Days. We will be partnering with Lamoille County Conservation District as well as the Conservation Commission to do some programs out in nature. We'll be visiting the Shelburne Museum and weekly swimming at Eden Beach and berry picking and corn maze challenge schedule. So that's what we have on the docket so far.
Definitely a great time.
I was like, Sarah's doing hard right now?
Also, just a few staffing updates. Most of this information hasn't changed from what was originally proposed. However, we have gotten an absolutely great candidate pool of very qualified applicants that have applied for our positions. We're very excited to see that. We are doing interviews this week. We've got around 30 scheduled. And again, the qualifications we've been thrilled with what we're seeing. So we're really looking forward to that. We have no concerns over the care that the children will receive, and the ratios will definitely be on target for what we were hoping. The training for the counselors, we have ironed out a great training curriculum for them as well. And so that week of training will be June 23rd to the 27th. We are having mandatory water safety certification training on June 26th. We're also going to be offering lifeguard certification training, of course. Our EMS team will be offering first aid, CPR, and medicine administration training. We are, as soon as the date is set for the Vermont Recreation Parks Association Camp Staff Training in Burlington. We are on the list to enroll counselors in that. We also have received a great package for an online certification course through American Camp Association that all of the counselors and co-directors will do. It's about 15 to 20 hours. And we're also exploring some training partnerships with other local recreation programs in nearby towns.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the next step. So and a little bit about what we've done. So we, as a team, met a few times with Amy Thompson from the Unbound program from the middle school, which is 5 through 8. And they have a grant and really wanted to restructure their program to include all 5th through 8th graders as a way for incoming 5th graders to become familiar with the school and the setting before they enter middle school in the fall. And so we aligned our program that we would focus on the elementary school, and they would focus on the middle school, which really allowed, with Gail planning the activities, that it's more of an elementary age group, and we could focus on that target age group instead of trying to do both younger and older kids. It's hard to entertain a 6-year-old the same as a 12-year-old. And focusing on the younger kids, we could stay more local. We could bring in more stuff like Dino Man that would be probably more exciting to a 6-year-old than a 12-year-old. Not all kids, but so that was a really great benefit to team up with the middle school. Amy was supposed to be here. She was here, but because the meeting went so long, unfortunately, she had to leave. But she was going to share about the Unbound program. So registration is now live. At the moment, it's just a Google form. So we are in the process of switching from the software program that we use for rec registration to a new registration that will come out in April. But we didn't want to hold off registration. So we created a very simple Google form in order for families to reserve their spot and submit their $500 deposit, with knowing that once the program is up and running, they will complete the actual application in the new program. Morristown residents had last week that there was time for them to save their spots before we open it up, but today it's open up to anybody. There are 8 families that are enrolled right now. Gail is working on finishing the activity calendar. It's to submit to families. We've been spending a lot of time on this recreation software, not only setting it up and learning how to use it, but reviewing every single form that we've used in the past, rewriting the handbook, creating new forms that we didn't have, looking at waivers, and just reviewing everything that's done in the past. We are basically recreating and revamping everything. And then, as Elle said, hiring staff soon and planning for the ice cream social.
Thank you. Where was the ice cream social 25 years ago when my kids were going through? But I do have grandkids coming up, so maybe I'll take them to the beginning. Just a couple of questions. Is 8th grade like the maximum age for the summer camp?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, and I love the Eden idea, nothing against Elmore. I drove my grandson past Eden the other day, and I was explaining to him about taking my kids there many times in the summertime, and they loved it up there.
They have a great playground there as well.
They do. It's a really nice beach, and yeah, I love it. It's a great lake.
And you'll be able to use their pavilion, and they have picnic table for.
Yeah, great. And did you say you have 30 interviews lined up? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes.
Great, super, wonderful.
Competitive hiring process.
Okay. Go
I have
ahead.
one question. The recreation software, I'm just curious as to why you changed. And my other question is that in past years, the recreation software was also used to do events, and I had people complaining that you asked their age. Vendors were like, I don't want to tell them how old I am.
It's not just for, recreation, it's for all events.
So it could be.
When I went to, we used to do everything by paper and pencil, and it was a lot of time to do everything. So when Tricia and I were on the rec committee, I don't know, time flies, it's probably 5 or 6 years, and we went to the rec conference when we were starting this journey of trying to get a rec department for the town. I went and explored different programs. The one that we're switching to is the one that I wanted, but it was too expensive at the time. And so we went for the cheaper model. Cheaper is not always better. It's a very clunky program to use. We've had a lot of complaints on the user side that it's not very easy. And the program that we're switching to is the same company that we do our websites, our minutes, our agenda. And so they all will, there's connectability of using the products, and it will be easier on the other end.
The vendors will be happy. They were, I can't tell you how many people.
And the back end is very easy to use compared to,
It was pretty funny hearing them like, I don't know how old I am.
and the old one forced everybody to do a waiver, so
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna make a donation to the ice skating rink for $5, and I have to sign a waiver. I'm not gonna sue the town of Morristown.
Thank you.
I'll take a second.
Great work, by the way.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, from where we were in January, where we were looking to cut the program, to where we are now, is incredible.
Yeah,
And it's so well organized and so well done. Thank you all for what you've done. We're in a great place because of you, so thank you.
I was gonna say, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
I just, for my own knowledge, what was the, do you know what the cost was last year per student?
190.
So it's like 220.
Okay.
A week?
Yeah.
Is that the
I think
weekly
so.
rate? Yeah, but last year there was an entire summer.
Great.
I was gonna say.
There was a whole summer rate, Sarah, like you could pay.
That was,
Yeah, so last
Non-resident, I
summer
think,
there
huh?
was, I can go find
I could be
that
wrong.
information.
I'm just
remember
curious.
just comparing.
Yeah, I probably could find it pretty quick.
And
So last year there was an entire summer rate, a weekly rate, and then a sibling discount.
okay. But we don't offer that because we wanted to stay at the budgeted number that we were looking for, right? Is that my understanding, right?
To keep it.
Keep it where it was, right?
Yeah.
The other question, are there any scholarships available? That I know there have been in the past. Do we?
I don't believe there's scholarships ever offered through the town. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It's through an organization that prefers to remain anonymous.
Okay.
So the town has never offered scholarships, and I know that feedback from certain people was that, move forward with the summer program, but have it be self-sustaining, self-funding. So that's what the difference is.
Right, I understand that. I've spoken with some people and they've got some concerns about the increase in the price. And it's, it's a 30% increase in price from what it was last year. And I know that there has been scholarships available for the program. And I understand the anonymous part too, but I don't know how if there's a way we could kind of work that in, if that party is still willing to do something, I know the concern or the issue might be that how do we qualify the needs-based clients for that? That's just an observation that I've got.
We can reach out to the organization.
Okay.
I know in the past, I don't know if it still exists or not, when my kids were little, the elementary school had a Morristown Cares program where at Christmas and holiday, and the teacher recognition, instead of bringing a mug or chocolate, you could write a check to this scholarship program, and then that money, we used to get scholarships from that program. Like if they wanted to play soccer, or they wanted to come to rec, if they wanted to ski, they would help pay for that. I don't know if, as administrations have changed, if that's gone away. I haven't seen money funnel through the town in a few years from that. But that, we used to get money through there.
Sarah, is there a drop dead deadline where all the numbers and registrations and stuff have to meet so that if you end up with, I mean, are we committed beyond committed at this point? So if you end up with 60 students, then that's what we end up with?
I don't know what that deadline is.
So there hasn't been any kind of discussion about the fact that, because you're in the hiring process now and you're asking families to, I mean, it'd be wonderful if you hit the 75, participant level, but if you come in underneath for whatever reason, does the program, is the intention is that the program would move forward regardless?
At the town's expense, basically.
Yeah.
So I think Tina was working on numbers. It's this game.
Right.
So I think that she calculated 35, was that a minimum, in her email today? So if 35 campers should break even for that amount. I don't know what 65, there's certain costs that are constant if you have one kid or you have 75. Like the bus, it's a great savings having one bus, not two, but that bus is gonna be the same price for each. So there's some fixed costs like that there's no flexibility. But then based on enrollment, you're gonna pay less when you go to the shelter museums or, and you can hire less counselors and you need less supplies. So that's where the wiggle room that you have to play with the numbers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
One more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lunches, I know, they did breakfast or lunches. Are those locally donated, or are we, because the feds just cut a lot of the school program lunches? Is that, where are we with meals?
As of right now, we're told that lunch and breakfast will be included at no cost of families.
And is that
It's
from
through the
local?
school. It's
Through the school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Don?
Yeah,
So, Gail, correct me if I'm wrong, you were able to secure a grant to offset the cost of training for this?
We are in the process of applying for that grant. We have to wait a whole year before we can reapply, so we're looking at about an April month.
Okay.
But I reapply for that.
Thank you. And I just want to thank the three of them. They're like, the atlas of this, but I also want to publicly thank Tina and Judy. The five of them came together. None of them have recreation in their titles, but because we don't have a recreation staff member, but they all came together and they found solutions and they're working, Sarah as a town clerk is working on this. Thank you so much, Sarah. So I just want to publicly thank them for all the work, and it is a lot of work. And as Sarah mentioned, they're still communicating with Tina, crunching numbers. So thank you.
yes, thank you very much. There's obviously a lot of children and a lot of families in town that are very appreciative of the work that you're doing. Thank you. We don't need any action on this tonight. This is just an FYI. Any further questions from the board?
No.
Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to move on then. Thank you very much. So, old business, consideration of revised work in the right-of-way policy. So the board has in front of them the revised policy. I know I read through it, and you have a new copy in front of you. When I read through it and I met with Brent and Judy this morning, I know I had noticed that the select board was still in there in a few places, and so where it says town manager, it used to say select board.
Thank you.
Other than that, I don't think I really had too much in this. I do have one question, though, about the insurance that needs to be taken out, and the $2 million. This is on page, oh, the pages aren't numbered in the document that we have. Yeah, it's under general liability. So it's about, what's that, about four pages in? And about halfway through that paragraph under general liability, it says, contractor agrees to maintain at all times during the period of the contract a total combined general liability policy of at least $2 million per occurrence and $4,000 aggregate. So just wanted to highlight that and guess ask the question, is this considered normal, whatever normal means?
So we had an earlier iteration of this, and we had feedback that our requested amount wasn't high enough. So we've come back with you after conferring with Passive and Tina weighing in. There's also Jerry. We asked him to weigh in. We also got Ron Roginski, separate from his contract for zoning, et cetera. He weighed in. So I can't speak, as an expert about these numbers, but this has been passed through multiple people to double check on these things. And that's the amount that was recommended.
Okay. And I raised that just because I did have one contractor reach out to me and say that he thought that might be a little bit high, on the higher side, but that's all I had. Any other comments from the board?
I've got a question.
George?
In the workers' comp section, which just follows the general,
Which section is that?
it's sub 3, right after not too many paragraphs after the general liability section. General liability, auto liability, and then workers' comp is the third one under the insurances.
So section 10.3.
10.3 would be right,
That's
yes.
correct, yeah.
I think it's more just for my understanding. A couple of sentences in, it says, if contractor is not required by statute to carry workers' compensation insurance, contractor agrees to provide municipality with evidence documenting Form 29. What exceptions can there be?
If they're subcontractors.
Yep.
If they're, if they're subs, okay. If they're subs, but they've gotta be,
They would be
are they
covered.
under the general contractors? If there's, the general's gonna have to have it, they're subsumed within the general as a sub, okay.
Basically independent contractors, like when I work, I don't have to pay workman's comp because I don't
Right.
have employees.
Okay,
So if you're a corporate officer, you don't have to pay workers' comp on
Yeah.
yourself.
okay.
But if you're a general contractor and you have subs, the subs generally provide their own workers' comp. And would you concur with that, Jerry?
Yes.
So I think that that's what it's referring to.
Okay, so, but the subs would be required to have their own
Right, they-
workers' comp?
right.
Yeah, okay, fine. I just thought we were gonna have people on site that somehow we're not gonna have workers'
Yeah.
comp. Okay, thank you.
Good question.
So I got a couple of questions. Section 5, permit required. In looking at other municipal town right-of-way, highway right-of-way ordinances, it talks about no person shall install, develop, construct, regrade, or resurface any driveway entrance approach, or build a fence or a building, and it goes on. So if you're looking at this and you're contemplating putting something in the town right away and it's not bullet pointed or it's not a fence or a building, we don't want anybody to assume that they can go ahead and do that without a permit. So I would suggest the language simply say, the only items allowed in a town highway right away are driveways and USPS approved standards mailboxes. And then go in to say, no person shall install, develop, construct, take out, or build a fence or building, and then go from there to deposit material of any kind which would affect the grade or highway right-of-way, obstruct a ditch or culvert. But this clearly just says that it's a town highway right-of-way, and that the only things that would be permitted in that would be the curb cut for a driveway and USPS mailboxes. And that clearly delineates that it takes any debate off the table in terms of applying for a permit and saying, well, you didn't include this in your policy. Maybe I would contest that it should be able to go in there for whatever reason.
So how would that sentence read again?
I would just say the only items allowed in the town highway right-of-way are driveways and USPS approved standards mailboxes. Or something to that effect.
So the only items into the right-of-way are driveways and post office boxes. Yeah,
And they have standards in terms of height, distance away from the.
but the rest of that you would leave?
I would just take out or build a fence or building and just continue that part or deposit material of any kind within or to in any way affect the grade of a highway right-of-way or obstruct a ditch, culvert, and so on. You can't put fill, can't do any of that stuff that would obstruct the road or the access.
So discussion about Chris's suggestion?
Well, just the building of fences and all that, that's all covered in our zoning. So, you know, we don't.
This language was about fences and other stuff is based upon history. So it's based upon what people have placed in the right of way. So that's why I believe, I didn't draft this, but I did say that we want to be clear. So even though we have zoning, people still go ahead and put various things in the right of way. So these references, bless you, are based upon real world situations for this community of Morristown.
Okay.
To make it clear, I can understand adding the verbiage that you included, but language such as including but not limited to and listing all these things, I think would be of value.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess I would disagree with that. I think that anything, when you have an ordinance or a new policy, anything that pre-exists that policy is grandfathered in typically. So if you have a new zoning ordinance, you have a 2-acre lot for sale and you change it to 3 acres, that 2-acre lot is still in existence because it predates the change in your zoning bylaws. Policies are very much the same way. So if someone has a fence wasn't approved by zoning or is in the town right away, if it gets taken out and it's in the town right away, it's your bad, not the town's bad, because it's in the town right away. This sets the course for today moving forward.
Any other discussion? Any other thoughts on this?
I've reread this sentence like 5 times that Chris brought up. And my personal experience, my driveway, when I come out of my driveway, I go up a hill and onto the apron. And the apron, when the road was paved, wasn't really, the apron's not large enough to come down into my driveway. But this says that you can't deposit any material of any kind within, and then comma, or. But the first sentence kind of says that you can't deposit material in there. So if I don't do that at my own driveway, then I have a speed bump to get out onto the road, which also over time will degrade the apron, negatively affecting the town highway. And I don't know if I'm reading that wrong, but the way I read it like 5 times, and it could be construed to mean exactly what I'm saying.
Unless an access permit has been obtained.
Right. So if
Okay, so that doesn't,
So it wouldn't preclude you from doing it, it's just that if you say you had state mat, and you get it worn down and you had a 4-inch lip to the.
right,
to the paved road.
which is what I have.
Right. What this is saying is that whether you chose to pave your driveway fill it back in with stay mat or whatever else. If you're doing any work in the town right away, you would come and get an access permit saying that I'm gonna level my driveway.
So that's kind of where I'm hung up. So for basic maintenance, I gotta pay $100 for a permit to fix my driveway because of the way that the pavement apron was done. That's kind of how I read that. If I need to get a permit to fix my driveway, that seems a little bit.
That doesn't seem right.
No.
I agree.
Yeah, that's a weird, I see going forward how that's important, because I had issues up on my road too, but in your case, I wonder if it's grandfathered that apron was built, yeah.
But it
that's
doesn't say that in here. It says you need to get a permit if you do anything. It doesn't say, I'd have to go.
Because it wasn't done right,
It's a yearly thing for me. I go get
Yeah.
$50 for the stay mat, take my tractor and I compact the driveway so that I can get out of my driveway without ruining the apron. So
understood, yeah, that's,
Who did put this together? Did Jordan put this together?
Jordan, Ron, even residents were involved.
yeah, maybe,
I have to agree with you, Richard. I mean, it just,
I agree.
it's the way it's worded. It doesn't seem, why am I gonna spend $100 because
I
it was
can't
done wrong
believe,
the first time, in my opinion?
I can't believe that's the intent of this.
Right.
No,
But it's there.
I think it's a good clarification, because there's actually a lot of things that were not done right that have created a similar situation, so I'm not sure how we bring this to Jordan's attention before we sign this for some,
Well, and the other piece of this is that if you filled your driveway and it diverted water back onto the roadway, having an access permit and approved would prevent that from happening. I don't know if there is some way to work into this where if you had a conversation with the DPW superintendent or his designee about just doing basic maintenance at the end of the road, whether that would qualify for an application or permit.
But it's not the way it's worded.
That's right.
That's my concern. So if I go have a conversation,
So why don't we see if we can get some clarification?
yeah.
Take this
Yeah.
back.
You don't want to get caught in that exceptions.
Yeah, you're not probably alone in this.
No.
No.
The people are going out, taking care of a little bit of business, it's all well and good, but it's not here.
I understand, I think I understand the spirit of it.
Right.
Like, you don't want
Yeah.
to put something in there that's gonna have a negative impact on the
Yeah.
road, but
Yeah.
my situation and a lot of other people, they're gonna have a positive impact on the road down the road.
My guess
Exactly.
is there's a whole bunch of people in the exact same
Doing the exact same
circumstances,
thing,
you
yeah.
know. Chris, did you have something else as well?
Yeah. There was one other piece here. Contents, section 7, contents of application. If the applicant is not the owner of the premises where the access is to be constructed, the name of the contact information, owner. So if the application is not the owner of the premises where the access is to be constructed, I would say that we would include in there, or where anything is to be placed. So if the applicant is not the owner of the premises where the access is to be constructed, or where anything is to be placed, that they would need permission by the landowner.
Or where anything is to be placed.
Yeah.
Can you give an example of what you're
Yeah.
I can
calling
give you an
placed?
exact example. So
Perfect, yeah.
My next door neighbor put up a 4x4 pressure-treated post with bracing, cast it in concrete, and put a mirror on my property so they could see out of their driveway without permission.
Oh, my goodness.
Near a curb cut for that 2-acre lot that I have on my property. And I think that that's probably not the only example that you could ride around town
Okay.
and take a look at. But a town right-of-way is not a public domain. It's
Okay.
not a free-for-all, do what you want to do,
Right.
because it's in the town right-of-way.
Okay,
You know, my property deed shows that I own, according to land records, to the center of Stancliff Road.
yep,
but there is a highway right-of-way, but that's for the town and the highway to utilize.
Okay,
It's not for other property owners to take advantage of.
understood.
So that would be a prime example of
Yep, that's a good one.
what can or cannot happen.
Yep, thank you.
And I'd like to prevent that from happening to
Yep.
the other landowner.
Makes it really clear, thank you. Be constructed or placed.
Anything else?
I don't think so. I think those are the two issues.
Anybody else have any changes?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Where do you see it stated $100, or am I being too literal?
It's under fee
It's in here,
structure.
yeah.
It's under process, section 6, second paragraph. A fee of $100 shall be paid at the time the application is submitted. I honestly, when I was looking at that, and I wasn't thinking of your situation, but I was wondering whether $100 was enough money, if you're granting access to town highway, particularly if there's an issue with compliance or anything, so.
So do we want to send this back to Jordan for consideration? Is that our plan?
I think Richard's made a good point, and I think Chris has made a good point. So, using those points, if they can rework it to.
So I want him to just consider section 5, permit required.
So just a question, because again, I'm referencing a place up the street where a new driveway was put in and this permit wasn't in, access permit wasn't put in, wasn't in place at the time, and I remember the highway at the time talking about it had that requiring a permit. So would new access solve your problem? If it read that for any new
It
access?
says regrade. So that's any change, anytime, the way I read it is anytime you change or add material, then you would have to,
Yeah,
so it's not new, it's for any existing maintenance that you
yeah,
do.
yeah,
Right, and I think that I can see why the intent is in there, but the practicality of a
There's gotta be
homeowner
some
trying to do
clarification.
spring maintenance on their road.
yeah, it's gotta be clarification.
New access would take care of it, but I can also see situations where somebody is fixing their driveway and creates a
Yeah.
problem doing
I
it.
think we need language just to make it really clear.
Well, if there's a I don't know, is there something that we could say that if there's a problem with something that someone does, if somebody does something that's not appropriate or damages to maybe get around that? I don't, well, not get around it, but make it clear and
It's like a third crack there.
The only comment, having been on planning and DRB, is that then you start getting people doing stuff and asking for forgiveness, which the DRB and planning have worked very hard to try to get in front of. I do think there's gotta be some clarification though, because,
Yeah, because you don't want somebody to come in and do $25,000 worth of work on the road and then find out that they're shutting water down on the town highway.
So it's the same slippery slope. Is it okay or is it not okay? Well, if we can cheat a little bit, how much money can we cheat?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So my suggestion is to send this back to Jordan for further consideration.
Sure.
Okay.
and maybe you can come out and look at yours, because yours sounds like a perfect example. Makes it really clear.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are not going to take action on this tonight. Come on up.
Alex here, live here in Morristown. I just wanted to say, I had some questions last time this came up on what the town would do if there was a violation. So I appreciate you seeing section 17 and how clear that is.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Going?
Yeah.
Dan Laughlin, Morrisville, especially around what Richard said. I've fixed this time of year an awful lot of mailboxes that got damaged or broke, pushed out. And a lot of them weren't on the property of the people that were using it because of the way the mail routes go. They're sometimes on the opposite side of the street. And so that somewhat needs to be addressed, I think, as part of this, and as well as, especially on the more rural roads, not on the ones with curves and everything. The mail, UPS, United Postal Service, they requested that the mailbox, front of the mailbox, is at least 3 feet away from the travel lane, and nobody determines that. And also, quite a few of them are out pretty far. And that brings us back to road supervisors. I think that around, like filling in your driveway for a little bit of a thing, that could be something that it would at least, and I don't know how to word it, I'm not so good at that the road supervisor would come by and review it and say, yeah, he's got an edge, he's just gonna fill it. You don't need a permit. So the waiver of a permit could be left in his jurisdiction. And I don't know if that's bad or good. A lot of supervisors might not want to be stuck in that position. But it's definitely important when the grade comes down. A lot of times they'll fill it, and the fill the grading of the driveway will just continue to wash out onto the road. And that's a horror show.
Yeah.
And asphalt later, when you've got, every time it rains out, you've got this big wash of sand and gravel on the road because of the way either it's graded or not graded. I think is very important. And again, even with something that's grandfathered, or like the property goes to the center of the road, yeah, but this is our road, not your road, and you can't divert water or sand onto our road. And I get to say whether you can or you can't, or if you need a permit for it, and if you get a permit for it, you do it just this way. I just think that.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, I can think of a situation like that very close to my house. Yeah.
That brings up another question, now that he said that, because my mailbox is in the right-of-way, because that's where the postmaster said it had to be. Who has the right-of-way to decide, is it the postmaster or the town on where the mailboxes go?
So it's a federal regulation through USPS. So they essentially have an exemption to be able to put, but they have standards in terms of how so in my listing here, it said driveways and mailboxes.
Okay, right.
Because they're exempted, because they're on somebody else's property generally, because they're on the other side, because it's a right-hand delivery for the rural routes. So, that's why that's in there.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because mine's literally in the way of the plow truck, but that's where the postman, so thank you for clearing that up.
Okay, I'm going to, not quite yet, move on, but go ahead.
Sure, John. I just want to address your comment about the GL insurance, and that came directly out of the VAOT specifications that they require contractors working on state projects to adhere to those requirements.
Vermont.
Area of transportation.
Thank you.
Agency, actually. It's agency.
Agency of Transportation, yeah, thank you.
Agency.
Okay. I am going to move on to set the locations for posting meeting notices. I'll be with you in just a sec. So we have the new rules and procedure, and in there are the posting locations. By the way, I'll just take a moment right now. At the last meeting, you asked me, or I agreed that I would call the school board, Dave Bickford in particular, the chair of the school board, in regards to, we're posting our select board meetings on Monday nights, the first and third Monday. I talked to Dave Bickford, and they commonly have meetings on Wednesday nights because of one of their administrators needing to do some graduate work. So he said they don't always use the first and third Mondays to begin with, and they're more than happy to go to the second and fourth Monday. So he was happy to hear that. So having said that, rules of procedure, I'd go to agendas, and I'd go to paragraph 2, and in that paragraph, it does spell out where those sites would be. And that paragraph spells out the website as well as 3 additional physical sites. So we would post on our website, we would post at the post office, at the library, and here at the office, at the Tegu Building. So those would be the 3 physical sites, and the website would be an additional. And I hope you noticed I did get my first agenda out on Front Porch Forum this weekend, so I will do my very best to keep up with that as well.
And I have one question about that. Having been in unions forever, I just want to make sure that we're not crossing any lines by taking work away from staff. Sometimes that can be, if you start having people working for free, it can cross over. I also, I'm concerned about Judy that if indeed posting on Front Page Forum is time, is she can't do it because of time. Is there the possibility of moving it up, having the agenda created on Thursday, so that allows more time, and/or having a staff member, allocating or dedicating it to another staff member? I think we're going down a slippery slope when you have select board members stepping in and doing, because once it's in here, it's in a mandate, so it's no longer a suggested, it's required. So I just want to be careful that we're,
Well, first of all, I would say it's a mandate for 1 year, which is my office. So next year,
Yeah.
this board can remove it. So that's that. Number 2, we don't need to do Front Porch Forum. We don't need to do it at all. So it's an optional that I'm willing to do.
well, again,
So
that's the thing.
Excuse me if I can just finish, and it's in response to a lot of discussion online, a tremendous amount of discussion online, and I just felt like it was an easy thing to do. And number 3, this was actually suggested to me by chairs of other select boards of other towns where they do very similar things. So I'm happy if Judy feels like I'm taking work off her plate, I'm happy to give it back to her, but I think I know the answer. And then the other thing, in terms of agendas building on Thursdays, I know I'm in here almost every Friday morning getting ready for select board meetings on Monday, and they're hard pressed getting it done for Friday. So, and I understand that. And we often get together again on Monday and revise it. And
I just want to be careful, because in talking to VCLT, and what I read,
Who?
which, VCLT, and I can send it to you, yes, thank you. They were very clear about that. If it's in the procedures, it becomes a mandate, not a request. And that's what I read to you and was expressing. So,
yeah.
so if it's in here, then it becomes a mandate. It's no longer a selected.
Right, but it also says the chair of the board or their designee. So if for some reason Don is off on vacation someplace and he wants to ask Judy or myself or some other board member to do it, it gets done.
So it gets done is the thing that what VLCT said, is that if it's in here, it has to be done.
But we're only obligated to do the 3.
No, that's not what,
Where's the word? Which section of it is it?
Agenda is number 2.
that was the,
Because it says will be posted.
We can change one word and take care of that pretty quick.
I just want to be
Thank you.
really careful going forward that it's clear that, the statute, we have to do 3, we can do more, but if we list it in here that it's going to be done, it becomes a mandate and it has to be done, it's no longer subjective.
So you change agenda may be posted.
Yeah, there you go.
Instead of will, to cover our bases
Yep.
going forward.
Thank you,
I want it to
Richard.
be posted, I just want us to keep us clean.
Laura, I am just trying to clean up a mess that
I know.
was
And I don't
just
want-
it consumed way too
Well,
much of
it's-
this town's time.
It has, but it's
And,
technicality, and we're just trying to,
so
let's get it right.
So let's put the word may in there, and we're all set. And I will do my darndest to get it on there every week, every 2 weeks, so. So those are, so we do have, the agenda item right now is to set locations for posting meeting notices. So I would entertain a motion.
Done?
Yeah.
Did you also want to discuss, under agendas 3, the last sentence?
Not right now, because all we're doing right now is set locations for
Oh, that's right.
And then we go into.
So that's coming up next, and I'll talk about that.
So I would move to set the locations for meeting notices as in or near the municipal office, Morrisville Post Office, and Morristown Centennial Library and the town website.
Great, thank you.
Second.
So I have a motion by Chris and a second by Richard. So those are our 4. We're only obligated to do 3, but we're, actually, if the town has a website, and Judy corrected me today, if the town, just so the public knows, we are obligated to do 3 sites, and if the town has a website, we're obligated to do that as well. So we are, with Chris's motion and Richard's second, we are meeting our obligations.
Right. And that's really what this agenda item is.
So any other discussion by the board? I know I've got a member of the public that wants to say something, but no. Okay, so that's our motion right now. Go ahead, Tom.
By changing that wording, may or will, I'm hoping that you are gonna go and stay with will for that.
I wanted, Tom, the word will, so it's been changed to
But now that
may.
it's may, I hope we don't go down the line and it's not being in there and then come back and say, well, it's in the procedure, so it's may, so if we don't wanna do it, we don't have to do it.
It's not the intent.
I know it's not the intent, but, and this, one thing that's really bothering me about this, we spent so much time on this, and Julie, you can help me out on this. When you putting the agenda on the site, can't you just copy that? Go to the front page for them and paste it on there, and it's not. That's how I do it, when I do it, it takes me.
So Tom, first of all, you're talking to me, not Judy. So, but just, so speak to me,
Can't you go in there, if you're going into the site, and I know you can do this, this is how I do. If you put the agenda on the site, you just copy it,
Yeah.
right there, go to front page for, paste it.
Front porch forum.
Yeah, thank you, front porch for, paste it on there, here.
That's what I'm doing. It's getting done.
Why?
That's
It'd
what-
be so much easier
I'm
for
happy-
her to do it.
I'm happy to do it.
30 seconds.
Okay.
And it would have been done like 6 months ago.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
All this talk about being this
I-
extra work,
Okay,
come on.
thank you very much. Okay, so all those, any further discussion?
No.
Okay. I just ask you to keep your comments to yourself, please. Thank you. So all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
And that would be unanimous.
Nope, nay,
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
want it mandatory. Sorry,
Okay,
I just don't want any gray area.
I'm sorry, I missed
Too many
that.
people want it posted on front page forum, and if you put a will, I want it as a mandatory based on the recommendations from
Okay,
New Zealand. So I'm saying nay.
okay. Rules of procedure. So now we have the
What was the vote?
410. So adopt and sign the rules of procedure is up next. So we have the rules of procedure. We went over this 2 weeks ago. Again, when I met with Judy and Brent this morning, I went over this a second time and just had one change under agendas, number 3, that I'm suggesting. And it's because this is our practice right now. It says the last line says any other adjustment to the noticed agenda, for example, changing the order of business, that's what I'm referring to, postponing or tabling actions may be made by the majority vote or by consensus. Ever since I've been on this board, we have never taken a vote to change the order. I can see that we might want to at some point. We've always done it by consensus. That's why, like tonight, I looked at you and I asked you if it was okay to add that item, and we did. So it can be done, the order of the agenda can be changed either by majority of vote or consensus of the body, and the body would be the select board.
Sure.
So I'm sorry, you're adding that or removing it?
I'm adding or consensus.
Okay, because it's, yeah, it's,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, because it's in there. It wasn't in your packet that you read on the weekend. Yeah, go ahead.
So, does this create a potential snafu? If I'm in the minority and I don't want to use the majority vote, can I just say, well, it also says consensus and we don't have it?
Well, the majority, it's one or the other. It's not an and situation, so.
So when do you decide?
Majority vote
So the majority,
would supersede,
the consensus.
yeah.
So if you had a problem with something that
If it's a
was being
4-1,
added,
for
you
example.
could bring it up and then ask for a vote rather than consensus, is how I would take that.
Yeah, if the consensus isn't there, we would take a vote.
Just take a regular vote. Okay, fine. Okay, thanks for clarifying.
What's interesting, though, is that language has been in there, and yet,
You're violating it.
yeah, we've never taken a vote in 3 years. 3+ years. In fact, I would say even before that. I know Bob Beeman, when he ran the board, the agendas often changed in the middle of meetings. And it- Yeah, go ahead, sir.
The trustees, when they add an action item to their agenda, or they add them,
Stand at the mic, sorry.
just from going to trustee meetings, when they add an item to the agenda, they vote on it.
Yeah, okay, great.
And I wonder if it's in their rules of procedure.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, so that being said, it seems like we just keep it majority vote and be done. Again, I think we're adding gray area here.
Rest of you?
I'm good either way, honestly. The system works, but we're not going to be on this board forever, so it really lays a template for future boards to either use it or change it, so.
I'm just adding wording that fits with what our past practice that we've always had.
That being said, I would definitely say take it out because trying to make changes, things haven't worked so well in the past, but it's a minute.
Changing agendas never not worked.
Yeah, well, I just.
There's never been an issue with this. I don't know what you mean by that, but
Just in general, just cleaning things up, but it's,
This cleans us up because we haven't, to Dawn's point, we haven't been doing it
right.
as a rule of procedure. And this says that it gives us the opportunity and the authorization to do it rather than take a vote. Unless there's a concern, someone has a concern with something. I could go either way myself, but just the ease of smoothness, I think that's a good addition to the document.
I would entertain a motion at this point.
So I would move to adopt the rules of procedure for Morristown Selectboard for the ensuing year with two changes. One, both in the agendas item. One is in number 2, saying that the meeting agenda may be posted on Front Porch Forum by the Select Board Chair, and I'll speak to that after the second. And in the third section, made by majority vote or consensus of the body.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
So I have a motion by Chris and a second by George. Discussion. Discussion from the board?
So the reason I did include that may in there is just that Front Porch Forum is somewhat unpredictable in terms of publications. So if you, I don't know what day you put it onto Front Porch Forum, but it came out on a Sunday. If you posted it on a Sunday and it didn't come out till Tuesday, then you'd be in violation of the rules and procedures because it didn't come out before the meeting. So I think that if you put it in, maybe post on Front Porch Forum, if there's some reason where there was an error, didn't get posted or whatever, you're not in violation of your policy.
Right. And, the example that you just gave is, of course, the reason that administration doesn't want to be bound to Front Porch Forum in the first place.
Right. So.
So the wording then, the word that you're throwing in there is?
I take will out and put may.
Okay, just to be clear on that. Any other conversation from the board, discussion from the board? Okay. You're going to have to identify yourself for the folks.
I hate to go back on this Front Porch Forum thing again, but if you do your 3 mandatory things, statutes, doesn't matter what time that Front Porch Forum comes out, it can come out a week after. You're not in any trouble because it's not part of the statute, so it doesn't matter. The timing doesn't matter at all when it comes out. And I don't know if I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong.
All I'm saying, Tom, is that, and I'll let this chair speak to it.
Go ahead, Tom.
I mean, isn't that correct? The mandatory, the statute of the 3 places that you put them on.
Right.
And then your town site.
We're meeting our obligations.
That's it.
And the chair is willing to put it in one other spot.
Which is Front Porch Forum, and it doesn't matter for statutes or anything when that comes out.
Yeah, and I don't think it matters if I do it or somebody else does it either, so, but I will do it.
Okay, so we're okay on that, then. As long as you get in there before Monday, which you should do. If you put it in Saturday morning or Sunday morning, it'll get in before Monday. I have a question that came up.
Wait,
Is part 6 on the purpose here, Morristown Selectboard. It says here, there's no limit to the number of times a member of the body may speak on the question.
correct.
That is for the core, right? I mean, the agenda question. That's not like a 2-minute limit. They can do talk as many times as they want.
Right, the body is the board.
Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll respond to your question. So yes, the body can continue discussion for as many times as they want. So if George wants to continue conversation, he can continue conversation. Let me answer your question. There's no limits on what he can do until somebody calls a question. When somebody calls a question, so let's say Laura calls a question, then conversation stops immediately. At that point, the chair calls for a vote. And with a body this size, because there's 5 of us, 4 of us must vote in the affirmative to stop him from speaking. At which point, the motion goes immediately to vote. End of story. So that's by statute. That is not Robert's rule. So it requires a 2/3 vote, which is 66%, as you know, and 3 of us is only 60%, so it requires 4 of us. So that's the story on that. Okay? Yeah, come on up.
Mary Lou Nichols, Morristown. Front Porch Forum. I get your thing about identifying his obligation. And then I heard you say something about the chair would post. Dawn, it's under Dawn's name. Front Porch Forum, John McDowell. It doesn't say chair. So, I mean, it could be anybody. Tom posts, Tom Cloutier. I mean, it's semantics, it's language right now. I think it's just fine if Dawn wants to put it, or if Laura wanted to put it. It's not, you're not identifying yourself as the chairperson, and I'm obligated to put it. You're just saying, I'm John McDowell, but that's fine.
Right. Thank you, Mary Lou. That was Mary Lou Nichols, by the way. I'm sorry. Okay, so I think, are we all set? Sure. So we have in front of us the rules of procedure with 2 changes. In number 2, we're inserting the word may, and in number 3, we are inserting the words or consensus, and that's per Chris's motion and the second. So all those in favor of the motion as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
So that's 4-1. Okay, approve the warrants. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So I have a motion to approve the warrants by Chris. I have a second by Richard. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous. Richard?
I said aye.
You did, okay, sorry. Missed that. Community comments.
Okay, so I'm gonna talk, okay? Thank you, Dr. Leah. I got a question, and hopefully we can get it on the agenda again. The request for PRRs. I'm gonna give you an instance, I think a cure for I don't know how they have been lately. But for instance, I filed a PR, I asked for a permit and was told to get a PRR for this permit.
A public records request for them,
Yeah, public.
for the record.
And I got it in, and then a little while later, I asked for another permit and didn't have to do the PRR. I just asked for the permit and got it. And by the way, the permit I got was for the rink, which is it's out of zoning right now. It's not within zoning, it's supposed to be gone, but that's not the story anyway. If a person asks a question like, can I have a permit? Just giving it to them, or giving the answer to them, would save all the time on these PRs. That you call Stowe and ask them anything, and you get an answer. They don't even ask you if you're a citizen. They give you the answer, or they connect you to the person, who knows? That would cure your PRR problem. If I call, I get an answer. If somebody calls, they get an answer. Right now, I'm not sure you can do that. But in the cases of requesting the permit, one permit goes through the PRR process, the other one, a day later, I get the permit. Who decides that it's necessary?
Thank you.
It's confusing.
Okay.
If you just answer the question when we call,
Thank you, Tom.
yes, good.
Don, could I make a comment?
Yeah, go ahead, Brent.
So the first permit that he requested, the way he requested it, there was no permit that was completed the way he requested it. There was an amendment to the permit. So the request for public records, through public records, was to make sure that the information that was requested was clear, because there was lack of clarity. So just want to point that out.
Okay, thank you. Sarah?
I'm assuming that Tom is referring to zoning permits. I just want to say that it doesn't even need to go to the public record request, because all the zoning permits are recorded in the land records, and we have those digital. So there's a access on the town website under town clerk, under land records. You can search the system, you can view all of the records, and you can search all the permits for free, and so you wouldn't have to wait for a request to be answered.
Great, thank you.
So I should ask you for this.
Always. Go on the website.
Anything, excuse me, anything else? Any other community comments? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, I'm going to move on. The schedule, upcoming meetings, Monday, April 7th is the next select board meeting at 5:30. That will be followed by another regular select board meeting on the 21st, so that's our first and third Mondays of the month. And then Wednesday, April 16th will be a joint meeting of the Select Board and the trustees. And I believe it will be here. It will be in this room at 5:30 as well. Other business, any other business? Mr. Brent?
None.
Thank you very much. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Chris and a second by George. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That would be unanimous, Judy.